Incredible India. You see posters with this logo everywhere. We began our journey early on October 24th, 2005, and arrived in New Delhi around midnight on October 25th. A very long journey indeed. A map of India shows our flights. We flew into Delhi, then to Bhutan and back, and from Varanasi to Mumbai for our flight home. This detail shows our itinerary, from Delhi to Jaipur to Ranthambore Tiger Sanctuary, to Agra, to Khajuraho, to Varanasi. Most of our trip was in Rajasthan, in the north of the country. We flew Air India from JFK to Delhi via London, and on Delta from Denver to JFK via Atlanta. 4 flights to get there. We were transported to the 5-star Intercontinental Hotel, where we happily crashed to recover from our interminable flight. This is our guide, Rajiv Kapoor. We spent 2 days in Delhi before our flight to Bhutan for a 1-week pre-extension to the India trip. But that's another story and another slideshow. We traveled with Overseas Adventure Travel. We've taken 7 of their trips and have always been very pleased. OAT does a fine job of providing great guides, excellent accommodation, and plenty of cultural interaction. We'll go on a little sightseeing trip now, as we did in Delhi. This is the Lodi Gardens in the nicer part of the city. The government buildings. New Delhi is the capital of India. The India Gate, I guess it's India's Arc de Triomphe. All kinds of activity go on around the India Gate. This is henna painting on hands, intricately beautiful designs. The Qutb Minar, a great Muslim shrine. Details of the stonework at this World Heritage Site. It was here we had the only rain of the trip, and it reflected the ruin nicely. These schoolboys were fascinated with Jim Fougere, a head taller than any of them. Some Delhi street scenes emphasize the contrasts in the capital. The ubiquitous golden arches. Seen from the steps of the Great Mosque. India's greatest, Jama Masjid, built in 1644 by Shah Jahan, better known for the Taj Mahal. Here are some scenes around and inside the famous mosque. Just outside the mosque is the Old City. We are taken for a wild rickshaw ride through the narrow, congested streets. The beautiful Baha'i temple in Delhi, inspired by the lotus. Prior to entering a Sikh temple, we must take off our shoes and socks and cover our heads. Here are some scenes in the elaborate temple. Outside the temple was this lovely scene. A major Hindu temple in Delhi. No pictures allowed inside. But Ganesh, my favorite god, was in a niche outside the Holy Temple, and I got a photo of him. We enjoyed a beautiful day at the Gandhi Memorial, where Indians of all faiths come to pay their respects to the great leader. Here are some of the colorful people in the Raj Ghat Park. The place commemorates the spot where he was assassinated in 1948. Family groups pose for photos. We visit a cashmere carpet factory where this man charmed us with his explanation of the process in the most perfect English. Several of our group could not resist the beautiful carpets. Here are some of the beautiful designs. This showpiece was the most intricate of all. After 3 days of sightseeing, we leave Delhi for Jaipur, with a stop at the Samod Palace, a 400-year-old Mughal palace, but this is probably a more recent addition, with the most beautiful and intricately decorated interior imaginable. Every inch is covered with beautiful decor. The palace is now a 5-star hotel as well as a museum. But outside the palace grounds, hawkers pester us to buy their souvenirs as we hurry to get on the bus to escape them. Seen in the village below the Samod Palace. We arrive at the Jai Mahal Hotel, a former Mughal palace. This elegant doorman welcomes us to the hotel. Our room is splendid. An outdoor chess set is rather more elegant than any we had ever seen. Jaipur is a city of many wonderful sights. The Amber Palace may be the #1 attraction. This is the view approaching the monumental fort. And this is one of the many interior courtyards. We wait in line for an hour for a special treat. An elephant ride up to the fabulous fort. The elephants give the passengers a spectacular, if bumpy, ride. Note the elaborately painted exterior of this 400-year-old building. It yields incredibly gorgeous photo ops. The Palace of Mirrors glitters gloriously. A view of the town of Amber below the fort from the ramparts that we could walk on. The fort is about 7 miles from the city of Jaipur. Photo ops of all kinds abound around every corner. Jaipur is known as the Pink City. Jai means victory, Pur means city. It was painted this lovely salmon pink in 1883 in honor of the visit of Prince Albert, Queen Victoria's consort. Pink is the color of welcome. This is one of the gates to the old city. Probably the most photographed site in Jaipur is the Palace of the Winds, a facade of 953 airy windows used by the ladies of the palace to watch the outside world without being seen. Doesn't it make a fine backdrop for a portrait of Ken Steuben and Suzanne Bond, fellow travelers from California? The astronomical observatory from 1716 looks more like a sculpture garden than a scientific site. The city palace, home of Jaipur's royal family, seen from the observatory. We'll go there next. Welcome to the City Palace Museum. Photos were not allowed inside, but you can see the beautiful exterior of the buildings. This is the royal residence. Peacock decoration. We watch a demonstration of wrapping a turban. This guy guards the entrance to an elegant jewelry and souvenir shop. Jewels glitter brightly. There must be an interesting story behind this elephant. Here's my favorite god, Ganesh, again. We attended a Bollywood movie, Key on Key. You really should rent one. It's a trip of a different kind. Mumbai is the center of the movie industry, which dwarfs Hollywood. Every OAT trip has visits to local families. It's easy and fun to interact with such lovely people who all speak good English. The 250-year-old mansion is home to a large extended family. Ernie enjoys a conversation with beautiful Mita, a student majoring in sociology. Each of the adult children with their family has their own apartment in the complex. The table is set, and we go through the buffet line. Before we leave this fascinating city, let's look at some typical street scenes. It would be a shame to leave without observing the color and chaos of the streets. The streets of Indian cities are such a contrast to the glorious Mughal monuments. Hot chilies and a shadowy photographer. Women buying saris make the most colorful scene of all. Don't they just brighten up every street? You've seen the photos and heard the sounds, but to get the full impact of visuals, sounds, and smells of this fascinating country, you'll just have to go there yourselves. But leave Jaipur we must, and scenes along the bumpy road were worth many stops and wonderful photo ops, like this colorfully dressed woman carrying dried cow dung on her head. And this one carrying a load of, well, I don't know what it is, some kind of bushes. We see women working in the fields. They're like brightly colored butterflies. These were peanut pickers. Some scenes are pretty sad, like this tent encampment. We wonder how people can live in such squalor. We stop at a pottery making place. He twirls the stone by hand to get it started, and then easily brings up a nice pot to demonstrate his skill. Throwing a pot requires squatting and getting your hands dirty, so I let Ernie do it. Joan de Graaf brings up a creditable pot herself. The pots made here are strictly utilitarian, not for the tourist trade. We visit a village school and are quite frankly appalled at the sight of kids sitting on the bare floor with not even a simple desk and chair. It's hard to imagine a school with such minimal facilities. These are some of the younger kids in the school. A group of colorful villagers. A woman gets water at the village well. After a day of fascinating rural and village scenes, we arrive at another lovely oasis for tourists, near Ranthambore National Park and Tiger Preserve. Here's our comfortable little house. Now we'll leave part 2 of the India trip. Please go on to part 3 for the rest of the amazing journey.